Ask any woman, especially one with children and a mortgage, and you're likely to get an earful on stress. In fact, studies show consistently that women score higher on the stressometer than do men. In a survey conducted in 2006 by the American Psychological Association, fully 51% of women, compared to 43% of men, reported that stress had an impact on their life. Contrary to popular belief, going through trauma is common. In fact, records show that around 60% of men and 50% of women experience at least one traumatic event in their lifetime. From this large portion of people, there's a small part who will develop post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Like other mental illnesses, PTSD can affect anyone and should not be perceived as a sign of weakness. Statistics show that approximately 8 million adults in the US have PTSD during a given year. According to the 2019 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 85.6% of people ages 18 and older reported that they drank alcohol at some point in their lifetime. According to that study, 14.1 million adults ages 18 and older suffered from alcoholism. Today, on Women Who Boss Up, we will explore the topic of recovery. Hey there, ladies. I'm excited today to have this conversation with my next three amazing guests for Women Who Boss Up series. And I'm excited about this topic because we're going to be talking about recovery. And I love these three ladies because they're going to give you some examples of recovery in different ways, mental, physical, there's a lot of different ways to recover. And I'm so excited to have them here because they have some real ongoing help tips that they've gone through, because sometimes recovery doesn't just happen and then goes away. Recovery continues. So if you're going through some kind of recovery now, or have been through something, or are looking forward to doing something in the way of recovery, you definitely don't want to miss this episode. So first of all, I'd like you to meet one of my longtime friends, Tracy Brown, with founder of Tracy Brown Consulting. Tracy, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here, Tam. This whole project is really an amazing step for not just women, but for everybody. Really taking control and being able to look at some things and then be able to boss up in their world. I think it's really amazing. I'm really thankful to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And our next speaker here, next guest here is Steph Chandeberry Coaching. She is the CEO and founder. And I'm excited because, she has an amazing story around recovery, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Steph, how are you?
Hey, Tam, I'm doing fabulous. I'm so glad to be here and be a part of this awesome project. It's like meeting these incredible women have been such a blessing to me. And I'm excited to share about recovery, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you. All right. And Miriam Martinez, she's the founder of Inspiring Community Connections. And I'm really excited to talk to Miriam. Miriam, how are you?
I am doing fabulous today. Now that I'm out in the wilderness, 2 days ago, unfortunately, I let my husband go at a military salute, and he passed a few weeks ago. So I am just totally blessed to be here and to be a part of this amazing group. And I'm just bossing up and keeping my word golden to what I have to do. And my emotions were running high today. So now I'm outside taking care of me, healing me. It's time.
Yes.
It's been a long 2 years.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I'm so grateful that you were able to do this. I know you were having a tough day today, and I'm so grateful that you decided to do it anyway, but go out and take care of yourself. So yes, thank you so much. All right, so we're going to jump right in. And this conversation, I know for a lot of you who are going through recovery, whether it's scars that you can see or scars that you cannot see, I'm excited to talk to Tracy Brown because I know her story around healing through scars and things that she, you know, it took her a little bit of time to figure this all out. But Tracy, let's talk about why you are uniquely qualified to talk about recovery.
Well, for the last 25 years, I've been in rehab as far as physical rehabilitation. And for the last 10 years, I have actually been specializing in scar tissue therapy. How to reorganize is the only way that I can really say it, reorganize physical scar tissue. And in that point in time, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I realized that emotional scars are kind of the same way. They're very confused, and we need to reorganize them one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you said it took some time for you to even realize that you had you knew about your physical scars that you had to kind of work through. And you've been working with a lot of people with their own physical scars, but you didn't until recently, maybe a few years ago, realize that there were some unseen scars that you also needed to work through. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. I'm a Coast Guard vet, and I'm also a survivor of burns when I was a young girl. And, you know, I never realized that I had trauma issues until probably 9 or 10 years ago. A friend posted 16 characteristics of post-traumatic stress. And I've become an information hound because I've always thought I was a little off or a little different, you know, just in the way I reacted to things. And I read those and I had 14 out of the 16. And, you know, that's just a portion of how many characteristics there really are. And so I was blown away, which is part of the book that I wrote, because it kind of gives you some of the leading up to that. So I was really fascinated that, wow, I guess trauma is something that I am dealing with. So that's kind of my realization.
Yeah. And then so tell me a little bit more about PTSD, because I know a lot of people, you can be dealing with PTSD, whether you're a, you know, veteran or whether you have some kind of PTSD through your life, you know, from childhood or abusive situations or whatever. So, you know, tell me a little bit more about how that you can deal with trauma that you cannot see.
Well, you know, it's really interesting. I think part of and that's a great question, because post-traumatic stress, if we just take that part of it, it's stress after trauma. And every single human being deals with stress after trauma, no matter what the trauma is. So, and I thought for years, I was very misinformed. I thought it was literally, you had to be in combat or be shot at or be shot, or, you know, all these crazy, you know, big things. But really, trauma is trauma is trauma, and we all deal with it in one way or another. And so the question is, you know, have you experienced it? And if you have experienced trauma, you're going to go through a lot of the issues that you're going to go through. Now, some people will go through in a day, some people take a week, and some people take years. But, you know, the trick is to understand that stress after trauma is normal. And that was really hard for me to get through my head, because I thought I was abnormal because it has this D at the end of it. And the D really is just more chronic, and it's more of a disorder that has not been addressed for years and years and years and years and years. So stress is normal after trauma. That was really a big eye opener for me. That was huge for me.
Yeah.
And part of the healing.
And part of the healing. And then you started doing the work. How did you start doing the work? And after you realized that this was a real thing, how did you start doing the work?
You know, it's really interesting, because part of what I write about in the book is the hardest thing was to talk about it. You know, especially when it's something that's so old, or it's been so long, or it just seems so big. You know, I was afraid that the trauma that had done whatever it had done to me, because I really wasn't sure of it, I was really afraid to give that or put that on somebody else. So I didn't talk about it at all. I never talked about the pain or the things that go through my head, or the fears of the inadequate, and big time the shame, because I wasn't even aware that shame was a big issue for me. And so, but I never talked about it. So a huge part of the healing was literally just, you know, finding a safe place or a safe person to talk to. And then that person, it helps you to support you to get to somewhere else. And there's nothing like a professional helping you out, because they understand how to navigate these waters. I didn't know how to navigate them. I'd come to my end as far as I could read every self-help book I wanted to, but I was still in isolation. Yeah. I wasn't doing it, you know, and letting it out. which was
Yeah.
huge. It's so big a part of the recovery is really just allowing yourself to be seen, as Brene Brown has said so many times. It's like relationships are seeing and being seen, and I wouldn't let anybody see me for years.
Yeah. Wow. Very good. So I'm going to go on to Steph, because I know Steph has a different kind of recovery that she has dealt with. And so Steph, tell me a little bit about why you are uniquely qualified around the area of trauma, or I'm sorry, recovery, and how you have been going through recovery during these years.
Absolutely. So I am definitely qualified. I have, right now I have about 3.5 years of sobriety, but that's after many years of periods of sobriety. And then I came off of about 9 years of trying to get sober, going in and out of 12-step programs, and finally checked myself into a rehab. Because it's progressive, it just keeps getting worse. And so checked myself into a rehab a little over 3.5 years ago. And I think that was the best thing that I ever did. Like, I spent 7 weeks totally getting out of my world and away from any triggers or whatever, and just having that space to just focus on me and get sober.
Wow. How do you think that affects people around you? Like, you know, if you're going through your own recovery or even your own episode, how do you think that's affecting or has affected the people around you?
This is such a good question and such an important question. I think especially for both for family members and for people that are in the middle of their addiction, because I often thought, I'm not hurting anybody but myself. And that is, the farthest thing from the truth. That these people that are around you often will develop PTSD because they're every time the phone rings, they're thinking it's going to be a bad thing, or they're just in constant worry, and they're wondering if it's something they did, or they're trying to control it. They're trying to put all these things, and so like, they have recovery programs for people that are around, that are in the situation. I mean, it's often called a disease of the family because it affects everyone. And then there's the people outside the family. I mean, anytime you're an employee or you're in other situations, you're just not yourself. And so, it can cause problems on outside of the family. So it's not just you that you're hurting. It's all the people that love you.
Wow. If you have someone in your family that is suffering from addiction of some sort, how can they help you, or how can people get you help?
Right. So this is another really good question. It's really a tough one too, because typically people that are in their addiction, active in their addiction, they're either going to deny it, or they're going to be, you don't understand me, or they're just not ready to quit. And so really you can address it and let them know that you think that they have a problem. You can try to get them help, but if they're not ready, there's really nothing that you can do that's going to change that. What you can do is you can get yourself help so that you can learn how to take care of yourself and set boundaries, for yourself. And also, a lot of times people talk about tough love. So in other words, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. This is either this stops, or you make a decision to remove yourself, or whatever that is for you. So that's really what it comes down to, is taking care of yourself. If you're the family member or friend or whatever, and also tough love. And then just letting them know that there is help available, but from personal experience, I remember the first time my grandmother talked to me, this has been like in the 90s, and she said, I think you're drinking too much. And I was like, psst. And it didn't help at all. And I would have other people tell me, and I was like, that, when someone else though, that's in your shoes can tell the same story, someone in recovery could tell that story to you, and that they understand, that's what gets your attention.
Isn't that interesting? I think that makes sense. Like, if someone, you respect someone has felt what you felt, gone through the hell that you've gone through, and then can tell you from their experience, what how to get help. I think that's the importance of people, that once you have gone through something, no matter what it is, that you talk and you share. I think that's so important, so I'm always, we've had this conversation before. I'm like so blessed. I've told you this many times, that you sharing this story is helping so many people. It's really a blessing that you have been coming through this, and you're continuing to come through this. So thank you so much for sharing that. I also want to invite you guys to Women Who Boss Up Summit. If you're trying to get to 6 figures, if that is your next goal, then you want to come to this summit, because it's going to really break it down exactly how I did it, how a lot of other people did it. And you'll notice we have 16 women that are sharing about their business.
If you don't celebrate you, how can you expect someone else to celebrate you?
Girl, it is okay for you to want more. Good is the enemy of great.
You can be and do anything that you want. You just need to work really hard for it.
Take the word can't out of your vocabulary.
Right. Motivation is just about just getting up and doing things.
I find the possible in the impossible world that I live.
So if you have not started making the steps to shift in your business, or shift in your life, or shift in your health, you don't miss this opportunity to do so.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So Miriam, tell me a little bit about your situation. I know that you have been, helping your husband, who has been going through recovery with, a lot of health issues for years, and you have been right at the forefront of helping him. So tell me a little bit about why you are uniquely qualified to talk about recovery, and then also to help people to really understand what is out there for them.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm uniquely qualified. My husband, Vietnam veteran, exposed to Agent Orange, and in the 90s and 80s, for over 40 years, really, I've been his partner. We have learned that there's a lot of medical issues behind being exposed to something, and a lot of PTSD. My husband was a combat veteran, point man in Vietnam. So when he came home, he was already detached from our nation and from family. When I met him, he didn't show a whole lot of signs. And when he did start showing signs and became ill, they gave him 5 years to live. And that didn't pan out. After a while, you kind of look and you kind of like, well, somebody's given you a scenario because of your experience or exposure to Agent Orange, and now they're planting a seed. Sometimes we have to take charge of what we hold in. I respect my, all professionals in the medical field. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes planting a seed can really work on somebody that's already got PTSD, the exposures as he did in Vietnam. What we had found out over the years, we did a lot of self-care. I did, in fact, jump in and help other veterans in our hometown at the time in Las Vegas, Nevada. And in the 90s, late 90s, assisted in, urging our fellow veteran administrations offices there to open up the first PTSD group in Las Vegas. And I had the pleasure to sit in with my husband for 5 years to help other veterans through PTSD, filling their claims out, understanding where they came from, helping them with, medical records or whatever they needed. So I did that for many years. And then one day, you get that hand of God that is placed on you. And you wonder, okay, why am I slowing down? What's going on? I did work a full-time job and assisted in my community with veteran organizations, various ones, many of them. Served on a couple of nonprofits for veterans. But there was something else coming up, and you can kind of feel it sometimes if you become silent with yourself. I've always said that there's 5 things that I've noticed about me. And if I learn how to stop, think, look, listen, and just be silent, or zip it, as I call it.
So, ladies, tell me a little bit about how you deal with your self-care. What is the things you do right now? Because I know that when you're dealing with recovery, it really does have a lot to do with how you're taking care of yourself, how you on your ongoing recovery. It's not going to just be something that's short-lived. So, Tracy, tell me a little bit about what you do ongoing for your mindset, for your body, for your spirituality. Tell me a little bit about that.
You know, I've kind of boiled it down to basically 5 different keys, but 3 are pretty important. And you know, especially when it comes to PTSD and things like that, sleep is imperative. Sleep, getting enough sleep, because sleep deprivation leads to all different kinds of things. One of the things that we really deal with is irritability, and you want to make sure that you can give yourself enough rest. Rest is big, but the other thing is nutrition. You know, I found that if I keep if I eat well, because one of the things you deal with PTSD as well is depression. And there's a lot of foods and alcohol and different things that you can do that actually are depressive. So they can build on that. So I did for me, because I know I dealt with irritability, depression, confusion, anger. I did what I could nutritionally, through sleep and exercise, those 3 things to really to allow my body to help my mind get through some of the things that I was getting through. And the other one was having a passion, something that you just get excited to wake up about. And for me, I'm very thankful that sailing came into my life, and I was able to get out into the ocean, get some of those, negative ions that get rid of all that other, bad juju stuff that's out there, just get out and get away. And the ocean has provided that for me as well. And, and having people around you that are positive, not really trying to keep the negative people, that sometimes they're in your family and you get their family, but you gotta, just love them where they are. But you really need to have the majority of people, and I had to have the majority of people in my life, a positive influence, encouraging me in the things that I do. And those were really big for me. So diet, proper nutrition, I should say, clean eating for me, exercise, sleep, having a passion in life, and having some great people around me. That was really, those 5 keys literally saved my life. I truly believe, other than of God, of course, because, if not for the grace of God, I'm going nowhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Steph, tell me a little bit about your journey, your continual journey around self-care, recovery, mindset, taking care of yourself. I know it's a everyday thing, because we've had this conversation. Recovery wasn't yesterday, recovery is now. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is great, and something that I need to continually be reminded of. And I really believe, so we all have these neural pathways that when we put new habits into place, lay over the old ones. But as soon as we stop doing the new ones, we revert back to the old ones. And so I can catch myself thinking about drinking or whatever, and I have to go, whoa, what is that? Where's that coming from? And so getting back into the routine. So really a lot of the things that Beverly just said, and I think that there's an acronym. It's called HALT, and it's hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And basically, it's all of those things literally. When I was new in recovery, I could be hungry or angry, and it would trigger that wanting a drink. So taking care of all of those things, nutrition, of course, for me, I think really the big thing for me is I look at it like this. It's a spiritual disease, and it's a spiritual cure. And the rest of that stuff. So I do meditation every morning, and I have a gratitude practice that is huge. I always say you can't be angry or fearful or anything if you're practicing gratitude. And then, of course, taking care of my body, so exercise, and then just a reminder every day, that I am an alcoholic and that I can't drink, and that I need to put my sobriety before anything, because if I don't have my sobriety, I don't have my family, my job, any of that stuff. So I think just keeping things in a priority and making sure it's at the forefront of my day.
So good. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we're going to go to Miriam and just talk a little bit about what she does on a day-to-day basis. I know it's, a tough thing, now that you are, before you were helping him with his recovery, and now you've passed on to your own recovery, going through life in a different way by yourself and things like that. So tell me a little bit about what you like to do to take care of yourself.
Taking care of myself, yeah. I find myself kind of forgetting things. Like I said, my husband had recently passed. So what I have found is that when I start getting the emotions and going through the process, I lose track of me. And what I've learned now is, and I've learned this over the years as well, but sometimes you have to take that bubble bath. You have to take that time to feel you. You have to be in that present of just you and feeling your heart pound and connecting to that. It's almost like a meditation, but you have water that's, that's cleansing you and that's getting you through that. And then, the emotions are going to come back up once you get back out and you're getting ready for the day. You're going to walk into the room and, I've been taking care of my husband as a caregiver for a while. I walk in there and it hits you again and you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, I just took care of me. Well, now I'm learning that if I just say, I need to connect with me and the world. So that's why I'm outside. I'm taking that walk and I'm taking that time to exercise and to look and focus on where am I going to be? What do I need to do just to do it by myself? Because now after all these years, it's just me. And finding me is the most important. Even though I knew who I was before, it's how can I say it? Reconnecting to who I really am.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love that. Well, I really have appreciated you ladies so very much. You guys are so amazing. And I love everything that you have shared. I know that the ladies that have been listening to this, you're getting a lot out of it and how to deal with recovery. If you're having a really difficult time, at the end of this video, there will be some resources for you to reach out and if you need some extra assistance. Also, please check out our new book that's coming out called Women Who Bossup in Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle. As well as I really hope that you will join us in all the other episodes that we have around Women Who Bossup. Thank you so much and have an amazing rest of your day.